Hello, hello. Come on, move in. There's not too many of you. I promise I won't bite. Welcome to the Kennesaw City Cemetery. Any particular reason why you showed up tonight?
Just to get by. It's interesting.
What about you?
Just a little graveyard.
Awesome, awesome. Anyway, welcome again. My name is Gaspar Theodore Carrie. Most people around town now these days pronounce it Carrie, but I'll explain that in a minute. I've done a lot over my lifetime. I have been a furniture shop owner. I've been justice of peace. I've owned a hotel. I've been a broker of sorts, and a lot of other business ventures. Also, I've been one of the first families that actually settled here in the Big Shanty, which it was called back before it became a city. So I've spent all my life, or most of my life here, and this is what I really, really call home. My parents, they came from Europe, specifically France, and back in the late 1700s, there was a lot of political infighting. There was a lot of religious battles and other things going on. And my father decided he didn't really want to raise his family in that type of environment. So, he up and moved and came into the States. And originally he settled over in the Carolinas. And actually, that is where I was born. I was born on January 1st, 1820. I was a New Year's baby, and I was born in the Carolinas. Very shortly thereafter, he decided we were going to come and settle down in Augusta. And that's really where I spent my childhood and my early adult years. And also there, I ended up meeting a wonderful lady, my wife, Lucy Blodgett. Her and I were married, and we ended up having 5 children. And by the way, my father and my family, I came from a family of 7, so big families, big kids, and, that was the deal back in the day, especially since there wasn't much to do after dark. We didn't have lights back then. So. And it was wonderful. And then, unfortunately, about 8 years later, she took ill and she passed away. It was a sad time for me, but unfortunately, life goes on. And I did find another love. Her name was Jane Harris, and I actually spent the rest of my life with this lady. Wonderful lady. We had a couple extra kids, so it kept me kind of busy with all my business ventures and community work and stuff like that. It took up most of my time. Back in around 1859, the Western Atlantic Railroad came through, and they decided that this was a nice stop place and they needed a hotel. So the railroad and us, some of the citizens, got together and we built a wonderful hotel. That hotel was called the Lacey Hotel. We have a nice restaurant inside there, and it was very well known to be a great stop along the way, and even for people just to come up from Atlanta and spend the day up here in our nice little community. Around 1864, we had some northern friends come down, and this one guy, he just loved to have cigars. He loved cigars, smoked cigars, and he just instinct the whole place up. Well, eventually he ended up catching the hotel on fire and burned it to the ground. And as we were watching this guy run him out of town, or try to anyway, come to find out he kind of got a little upset and went down and burned the rest of the city down, including Atlanta. You might know this guy. His name was Sherman. Sherman? Anyway, it was a sad state of affairs for, all the area around here. The rebuilding process took quite a long time. But in 1870, all of us got together and we decided, geez, we need to rebuild this hotel. So I took it upon myself, and with all the help of the community, we rebuilt this hotel. And I managed the hotel, and I also own this hotel now, whereas in the past, the other hotel, I did a lot of management with that hotel. That was around 1870. And also at that time, I says, geez, we need to build a new house too. So I built the house, and that house actually still stands today. And I think you folks probably would know that. I believe it's called the Frozen Cow. And a few years later, as my son got a little older, he decided, gee, I want to move. And he became very prominent in the city. Both of my sons, my oldest son, John, says, geez, I want to build a house too. So he decided he was going to build next door to me. Why? I have no idea, but he decided he wanted to be close to Dad. So he was. Anyway, that place still stands today also, and you probably would know that as the Lazy Labrador. The coffee house, very nice place. My other son, Benjamin, he became a justice of the peace just as I did, amongst all of his other things. And he did a lot of the civic type, community type of stuff, not only for Kennesaw, but in the surrounding areas. Anyway, he also built a house down the road from me, and that house still stands today also, and that is known as the Carrie house, or Carrie house as it should be called. And it is also part of Depot Park, which has expanded and grown a lot over the years. I had, over the years, too, thought, geez, maybe I'll get out of the business and I'll actually do some farming. So over the years, I had accumulated a lot of land on the east side of the railroad. Just for you folks that don't know, we're on the west side right now. So I donated some property initially, a lot of pieces, but one I gave, which I was very proud of, and it was to a small little group of folks that started a church. And that church happens to still be there today. You'll probably know that as Shiloh Missionary Church. And so it's been there for about 143 years, I think, if my math is. Excuse me, there was another group that also wanted to start a church, and I donated some property to them right across the street from me. Actually, it was across the little walkway, if you please, back then. And that church also is still there today. It's changed hands a few times, but today you'd probably know that as the Apotheos Roastery, another coffee house. As we progressed on, I was very fortunate and very blessed. I gave as much time and everything as I could to the community. And as the city grew, we had a group of us saying, geez, we need to probably build a nice school for our children now. So instead of everybody being schooled at home, we tried to consolidate stuff a little bit. And we started a school, and we originally called that just the Kennesaw Home School, which eventually changed over, and I believe now it's still there today, well, some remnants of it anyway, and that is now called Kennesaw Elementary School. I, again, worked and gave as much as I could to the community and to all the other good people in town. Unfortunately, back in 1893, I believe it was, they decided that it was time for Progress to take over, which it did, and so the hotel was taken down, unfortunately. But renovations and building and the growth of Kennesaw has never really stopped. You can see even here in the cemetery, I got my friend John over here across the way. The guys, let me tell you, he's got one heck of a man cave in there. Wait till he's done. Anyway, that's a little bit about me and this wonderful city, and I trust and hope that you folks have enjoyed your stay and your visit and tour so far. And there's more to come down the road. And thank you for coming, and have a wonderful evening.